Good day, ladies and gentlemen. This is Dr. Frel, your professor.
Good day, everyone. Today we will be discussing the mechanical instructions in research writing. Please take note that all researchers must follow certain basic style and format guidelines and also adhere to basic standards of clear, correct English and careful presentation. So first, we will start with the preliminary pages of the thesis. We have, of course, the title page. So the title page includes the approved title for the thesis and must be signed by all 3 members of the committee and should be dated. The title page should bear the title of the thesis, which is being written in an inverted pyramid, all capital letters in not more than 13 words. Following the title page is the abstract. The abstract must be signed by the student's committee chair. It consists of a brief statement of the nature of the study, the method and design used, as well as the findings or conclusions. It may not exceed 2 pages and must be double-spaced. The title of the thesis and the author's name must match exactly with the title and the author's name as it appears on the title page. Next is the acknowledgement. This page should acknowledge and or thank individuals for their assistance, and the researcher may cite the reasons for the study. Then we have the table of contents. So title and subtitles in the table of contents are to correspond exactly with those in the text. Meaning, the manner of writing the title and subtitles in the table of contents must be similar as it is written in the text. Then we have the list of tables or figures. This is separate from the table of contents. The tables or figures are numbered in the order in which they appear in the text. Titles are to correspond exactly with those in the text. Okay, so that would be for the preliminary pages of the thesis. Now let's move with the basic appearance of the text. Let's start with the paper. The submitted copy or copies of the thesis must be on a standard 8.5 by 11 inches and of course substance 20. The entire thesis must be done using the same paper. The submitted copy is to be free of materials used to correct mistakes such as correcting fluid. Then we have printing. The theses are to be printed using black ink except for the location map and schematic diagram or paradigm of the research process. The device chosen to produce the final copy should provide a clean, non-smudged copy with consistent contrast throughout the document. Example, you may use laser printer. In cases of corrections, this should be recessively visible corrections, while the typeface should be 12 point and the acceptable font is Times New Roman and it must be dark and uniform throughout. Now, when to use bold type? This should be used for charts, graphs, drawings, or tables, and the like. How about italics? This may be used for appropriate purposes such as for freeing words or phrases, for book and journal titles, and the like. Now let's proceed with the pagination. All pages must be numbered consecutively as follows. So all preliminary pages except the title page must be numbered. Begin the numbering with the small Roman numeral 2, the title page counting as 1, but remaining unnumbered. Use the Arabic number 1 and 2 To start the second page of this introduction of chapter 1 of the body or main text of the thesis and continue with every page that follows, whether it be text, figure, table, map, appendix, and the like, numbering pages consecutively until the end. All chapter pages remain unnumbered but counted. The number of each text page is placed in the same position on all pages at the upper right in line with the right hand margin and at least 1/2 inch down from the top of the paper so as to allow 2 trims at the bindery. Lowercase Roman numerals, example 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the like, are used for preliminary pages. The numerals appear at the upper right in line with the right hand margin and at least 1/2 inch down from the top of the paper. Arabic numerals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the like are used for the body of the thesis. The numerals appear at the upper right in line with the right hand margin and at least 1/2 inch down from the top of the paper, while appendices in the bibliography or reference list should be numbered consecutively with the rest of the thesis. Now let's proceed with the body of the research or the thesis. Start with the margins. For binding purposes and ease in copying, you have to observe the following. For the left margin, that would be 1 and 1/2 inches, while for the top, right, and bottom margins, that would be 1 inch. Particular care must be made to see that all tables, figures, and appendix materials meet the margin requirements as well. Now, how about line spacing? Double space is advised. More than 2 spaces between paragraphs in one section of the thesis is unacceptable. How about indentation? The first line of every paragraph should be indented. Sometimes we may use endnotes. So these endnotes are used to document our sources, to amplify or qualify a statement, or to make acknowledgments. Then we have the appendix. So the title page bears only the centered word appendix or appendices. So page numbers are continuous with the text. The appendix contains materials which is of interest to the reader but not an integral part of the thesis. Then finally, we have the bibliography. So thesis should include a bibliography or a list of literature cited consisting of references to original literature relevant to the area of inquiry. A bibliography must include, but is not limited to, all works cited in the text. Students should follow the approved style for the format of the bibliography, works cited or reference list, page numbers. In this case, page numbers are continuous with the text. Now, what are the responsibilities of the student researcher during defense? Of course, the student researcher should seek help and assistance of the 3 people willing to act as chair and members of the thesis defense in advance. During the defense, the student researcher should answer relevant questions raised by the chair of the members of the panel. He has to understand that rewrites will probably be necessary in that the guidance of the committee is to be taken seriously if the research is to be scholarly completed. He needs to understand that no panel member can be expected to act as simply a rubber stamp for his or her ideas in writing. And of course, the student researcher should obtain editorial if necessary to meet the standards in the program for quality and presentation of the information in the thesis. And of course, he has to adhere to the appropriate form and style determined into the thesis guidelines. And of course, to defend the thesis prior to final approval. And once approved, he has to submit the revised thesis as scheduled. Now, speaking of the thesis defense, here are some secrets of winning a thesis defense. Okay, 1. Prepare all the materials needed for the defense before the schedule. Take a rest and sleep well the night before the schedule of the defense. Remember that the thesis defense is like a major examination in several ways. The only difference is that the candidate usually knows more about the topic than the panel of examiners. During the defense, some questions will be sincere questions. The defense panel asks because he or she does not know and expects that the researcher will be able to rectify this. So students often expect questions to be difficult in attacking and answer them accordingly and politely. During your defense, take your time. A few seconds pause to reflect and analyze the question before answering is eminently reasonable to the panel, but to the defender it seems like minutes of mute failure. So when the panel are asking questions, let them take their time. Let them finish the question before giving your answer. The phrase, "That's a good question," is useful. It flatters the panel and gives you time to think. Also, be ready for a free kick. The panel may ask for you to tell them what is important, what is new and good in your research. And lastly, good luck and congratulate yourself. And for additional tips during your defense, you have to know your audience. You have to be sure to explain everything about the slide during your presentation, and do not wait for the last minute to review as much as possible. You may have a sort of mock defense a day before the big day. And never overuse abbreviation. It might be allowable to use abbreviation in the thesis, but do not overuse such. And of course, you have to know your own research and the techniques you use, the data that you have included in your paper. And always be ready with the names and references as backup during your defense. The panel might ask you to provide them the names or the articles that you have cited as evidences or proof of reference. And of course, justify yourself. Remember that body language is also important during your presentation. Even if it seems that you are nervous, do not show it to the panel. And you have to make sure you know how to pronounce and use vocabulary. It might irritate your panel. And remember that cramming won't do you any good. So you have to review and do not bet on luck alone. And lastly, show that you are expert in your research and don't show that you are nervous. And that would be all. Good luck to your thesis presentation.